And welcome to this special service at Plymouth Congregational Church in Minneapolis. It is an absolute joy to be with you today. My name is Seth, and I am one of your clergy. Wherever you have been, wherever you are going, whoever you are right now, you are welcome here. Whether it's your first time or your 5,000th, you are welcome in this space. You are welcome wherever you are sitting and watching this online. You are welcome. And may we feel the love of God and community today. And it is up to all of us. We have a responsibility to help make that happen. Today's service is a bit different, as you will see in your bulletin. We have, instead of a sermon like we do many Sundays, we have 3 meditations on carols. So thank you to Dressen and Elise, Brunelle, and Annette, Atkins for offering these meditations that you will hear in a little bit. As we move into a time of meditations and singing, let us hear these words from the book of Colossians. This is the interpretation from the Message Bible. So, chosen by God for this new life of love, dress in the wardrobe God picked out for you. Compassion, kindness, humility, quiet strength, discipline. Be even-tempered, content with second place, quick to forgive an offense. Forgive as quickly and completely as you are forgiven. And regardless of what else you put on, wear love. It is your basic, all-purpose garment. Never be without it.
While the shepherds watched their flocks is a Christmas carol describing the Annunciation of the shepherds. With words attributed to its Irish hymnist and poet, and England's poet laureate at the time, Nahum Tate. The text appeared in Tate's and Nicholas Brady's 1700 supplement to their new version of the Psalms of David. It was the only Christmas hymn authorized to be sung by the Anglican Church in the 18th century. Most carols which had roots in folk music were considered too secular and not proper for church services. And that was the case until in the end of the 18th century. As a result of this approved status, many tunes have been associated with this single carol text. So many that the editors of the 1906 English hymnal noted that it is impossible to print all the tunes which are traditionally sung to this hymn. There are hundreds. One tune is simply called Carol, which we sing to another text. While shepherds watch their flocks by night, all seated on the ground. You know that in another context? Perhaps one of the more common tunes sung in the United States to this text is titled Christmas, and is an arrangement of a George Frederick Handel opera aria arranged by the 19th century American composer Lowell Mason. While shepherds watch their flocks by night, all seated on the ground. He also, by the way, practiced this same display in an arrangement he made of another Handel tune we know as Joy to the World. This morning, we will raise our voice in singing the tune Winchester Old, commonly sung in the United Kingdom and originally published in 1592. So the tune is more than a century older than the text. Note the perfect symmetry in our text, and I invite you to look at the text and the music in your bulletin. The perfect symmetry, 4 phrases written in perfect unbroken iambic meter, while shepherds watch their flocks by night, all seated on the ground. With a perfect 8/6, 8/6 rhythmic structure. By that I mean 8 syllables in the first and third phrases, and 6 syllables in the second and fourth phrases. This regular pattern found in both the poetry and the music are why they are both so interchangeable. The text has undergone essentially no revisions in its 300 plus years of existence, something quite unusual for hymn texts. Well, that is until the last 20 or 30 years when Mr. Brunelle worked to make the language more inclusive. So there are 3 examples of these revisions in our text today. The first occur at the very beginning of the second verse, "Fear not the cry," was originally, "Fear not, said he." And at the end of that second verse, the phrase we now sing, "I bring to you and humankind," was originally, "I bring to you and all mankind." And at the very last verse in the penultimate phrase, "Goodwill henceforth from heaven to earth," was originally, "Goodwill henceforth from heaven to men." This tune is written in common meter, meaning 4/4 time, and in a very singable range with stepwise motion. Thank you very much. Thus its popularity as a tune for the congregation. Also note the musical architecture that joins 2 phrases into 2 longer units that also then form a whole single arc. The first unit, ending on the long note at the end of the first line, rises in 3 short motives to end on the 5th degree of the scale we call the dominant. While shepherds watched their flocks by night, all seated on the ground. And the second unit falls in 2 longer motives to return to the home pitch, the dominant, the tonic. The angel of the Lord came down, and glory shone around. It's a beautiful arc the way it rises to the 5th and comes back home. In the reading of the text alone, I got stuck on one word. It's found in the first verse, glory. The angel of the Lord came down, and glory shone around. What actually is glory? Is it that beaming light we see in movies? It occurred to me that contemporary discourse does not appear to use glory as a noun much, if at all. We hear its relatives as an adjective, such as glorious, as in it's a glorious day, or as a verb to glorify. But it seems a rare thing indeed to hear the glory or a glory spoken in any text that is not old. As I pondered this question, I was taken back to a recently read opinion piece by David Brooks of the New York Times titled, "The Shock of Faith. It's Nothing Like I Thought It Would Be." He writes, "When I was an agnostic, I thought faith was primarily about belief. When faith finally tiptoed into my life, it didn't come through information or persuasion, but, at least at first, through numinous experiences. These are the scattered moments of awe and wonder that wash over most of us unexpectedly from time to time. Looking back over the decades, I remember rare transcendent moments at the foot of a mountain in New England at dawn, at Chartres Cathedral in France, looking at the images of the distant universe or of a baby in the womb. In those moments, you have a sense that you are not in the presence of something, you are in the presence of something overwhelming, mysterious. Time is suspended, or at least blurs. One is enveloped by an enormous bliss," end quote. Wonder and awe are the emotions we feel when we are in the presence of a vast something just beyond the rim of our understanding. At least in part, this is what I think glory references here in Luke's gospel verse. So there you have it, from a single word in a poetic paraphrase of an ancient text. We come to realize the transcendent possibilities in the many-faceted presence of God. May we seek that wonder and awe even in the songs and texts we sing over and over again.
Unlike Dan, I'm not going to be singing any of mine. I don't think I could match that. There are 133 hymns about winter in Protestant hymnals. "'Tis Winter Now" is one of the few hymns that extol the beauty and the subtle radiance of winter. It is one of the best known, with words by Samuel Longfellow, born in 1819, whose older brother was Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Samuel was a Unitarian minister and writer of hymns. These words were written for a Vesper service at his church and included in the Unitarian and Universalist hymnal, which he compiled. After the death of his brother Henry, he published a 2-volume biography of him. Samuel was later elected as a member of the American Philosophical Society. He was an abolitionist, a pacifist, and a supporter of women's rights. Danby is a traditional English ballad tune. The English composer, Ralph Vaughan Williams, while traveling through the English countryside, collected folk tunes. He heard this tune at the Cricketers Inn in Haringey, Essex, in 1904, and coupled it with Samuel Longfellow's words for the English hymnal of 1906.
I am going to sing, but I'm sorry. Emigrating to London with a new husband in my middle 40s should have been the easiest migration in the world, and I had every advantage. Even so, I found it hard, and I worked to fit in. I was surprised that I felt unsure of myself and tentative about finding my place in a new place. but I threw myself into local activities, including a sing-along carol service. One of the songs was my favorite, so I sang it right out with more quantity than quality. The holly and the ivy, when they are both, well, whatever it goes. Unfortunately, the rest of the carolers were singing the other holly song. Now the holly bears the berry as white as the milk. Well, if you're Philip in this choir, you could probably sing those two together and it would sound great. In that moment, it didn't. And in that moment, I did wish, among other things, that I hadn't used my outdoor voice, or any other voice for that matter, and I wish that I'd paid more attention to the words. Mesmerized by tunes, I've never paid too much attention to lyrics. I was shocked, for example, when I realized that the jaunty, danceable, hummable, singable Irish Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues is in fact a really bad breakup song. Listen to it if you don't know it. Well, the words to the two holly songs are in the same neighborhood. Like many Christmas carols, both have deep roots in English folk melodies, and the pre-Christian winter mythology peeks through the Christian overlay. Both use greenery and winter berries to tell a holy nativity story. The holly as Jesus, the ivy as Mary, the red for Christ's blood, and the white for his shroud. And they both make for beautiful songs. These beautiful holly berries are, by the way, poisonous for people and pets. And if you've held holly in your hands, you know that while it is beautiful, its waxy leaves are prickly and sharp. Not entirely the metaphor for Christmas that I might be looking for, but perhaps the right one to invite us to be more aware and awake, and maybe to pay closer attention to the words. In any case, I'm happy to know the two versions and for the choir to sing one of them.
Thank you, Dan and Elise and Annette, for your voices, bold as they might be, your creativity, and these gifts. And thank you, Philip Brunelle, for organizing all of this. You have given us gifts. And we, yes, let's clap for that.